Well, Parliament's big day is here. That precinct is a hive of activity this morning as last-minute preparations get underway for President Cyril Ramaphosa's second State of the Nation address. This year's theme is following up on our commitments, making your future work better. This week marks one of the most important moments in the country's political calendar. President Ramaphosa is facing pressure of presenting his administration's vision for the country just months before the national elections. He's expected to announce the date of the polls during his address.
That has encouraged me.
Well, eNCA's Thulasizwe Simelane is already outside Parliament for us this morning. Let's get a feel of what's happening at this early hour. Thulas, a very good morning to you. Yes, still dark there, but a couple of hours to go still. But what are you seeing in terms of preparations? What's already happened or what's happening at the moment?
Well, Yuveka, the first thing to say is that the weather is quite cool in Cape Town this morning, which is some reprieve for some of us who are going to be here for the long haul, because the prediction is that it is going to be a scorcher. It was a scorcher yesterday. It is expected that it's going to be a scorcher again today. There was a bit of a drill that was being done yesterday in terms of the final preparations. We did see some of the Gripens flying over Cape Town, and we did hear some of the firing of the cannons that they use for the ceremonial purposes to sort of rehearse before today. And as I speak to you this morning, there's a lot of movement in and around the parliamentary precinct in preparation for an event that only starts in about 13 hours. The cordoning of the streets is also underway, with the police also carrying out extensive security checks on anyone approaching Parliament. But in terms of what is to happen inside Parliament, President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday captured in pictures, with that ceremonial picture sitting behind a desk and quote-unquote putting final touches to the State of the Nation address. We wait with bated breath to see the extent to which he feels he has been able to deliver on the promises that he made last year in the State of the Nation address. But also we're asking ourselves, how detailed can he be this year in this particular State of the Nation address, of course, given the fact that it is an election year, and in an election year there are two occasions of a joint sitting of Parliament for the purposes of a State of the Nation address. Does he give everything away right away, or does he wait until we have the election in May and then come back to Parliament and give us a clearer picture of what is to transpire in the coming year?
Yeah, very, very important year indeed, not just any Sona, this one too, but let's go back to those promises of last year. What are the key promises that we will be watching for or listening out for that he made last year that we want to follow up on this year, that we want to hear?
So from the tone last year, Yuveka, you'll remember the key phrase that really captured people was send me to Mamina, and basically saying that he was quoting the lyrics of a song by the late Hugh Masekela, where he said, I want to be there when the people start to turn things around, when people start to turn it around. And the president at the time saying that the country has entered, those words, a new dawn, and saying it is a beautiful dawn. And he was saying that we are starting to see the country turning things around, and there's a bit of optimism. The country is starting to deliver on, the economy was not doing well, but he was saying that it still was growing, albeit at a very low scale, and not producing the kind of jobs that we needed, and promising that we were going to start to turn the tide on corruption, start fixing the state-owned enterprises, and more importantly, deliver on the employment opportunities for the youth. It's a mixed scorecard by any measure. I mean, if you just look at what has happened and what hasn't happened, the president promised that there would be a jobs summit. That did take place. Has the jobs summit necessarily led to actual jobs, people being employed by the corporates that were pledging that they were going to open up these pathways for young people? That's where the actual critical analysis is, because delivering a summit on its own is a summit, but does it deliver the jobs? An investment summit that took place, but also in issues of corruption. The president promising that the tide will start turning. We have seen the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, and I suppose it helps the president that he comes off the back of those arrests that were made yesterday by the Hawks, but he also comes facing questions himself about this 500,000 rand that came from Bosasa's Gavin Watson, either meant for his son, according to one version that the president gave in line with a duly concluded contract, or meant for his campaign for the ANC presidency, which was an explanation that the president then gave a few days later. And he's under a great deal of pressure from the opposition on that score. Okay, so what will he say, if anything? Now, a very quick one on the drama offer that's expected, or are we expecting some drama to us this evening? I mean, we know the former president, that's Jacob Zuma, already sending his apologies, and then we'll be watching the EFF to see, what are they going to do with this year's Sona at this year's Sona? We will be, Yuveka, because last year the EFF leader, Julius Malema, saying that they were giving the president the benefit of the doubt. So the aesthetics also matter. When he came in, President Ramaphosa, they stood up. It was, he got a standing ovation, including members of the EFF. And at the end there, I saw Julius Malema last year clapping for President Ramaphosa. But a lot has happened since then. And as I say, President Ramaphosa comes here with the threat that the potential that the EFF could actually disrupt the State of the Nation address. They're saying, the EFF that is, they are saying that it surely is okay for them to pose questions to the president, and they have some questions that they would want the president to answer, particularly around this 500,000 rand matter, which really remains hanging in the air. What has since happened to that 500,000 rand? There was a pledge that it would be paid back to Gavin Watson, the person who made the donation, because of the revelations that have since come to light. But we're now learning that there's potential that hasn't happened yet. Yeah. The DA itself wants answers on this particular matter. So I suppose that sets the tone quite nicely for us to hear what will happen when the president walks in the National Assembly. Yeah, will they want those answers today at Sona? Thank you very much, Thulasizwe Simelane, already outside Parliament ahead of Sona 2019. And as we know, partner, a lot can happen in a year or not happen. We'll hear what happened and what didn't happen.
And later on here, we're going to be focusing on just some of those promises made by President Ramaphosa last year and see if any progress at all has been done. A lot was promised. Let's find out. But anyway.